Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, man. Hunt the ball. Let's go, family on three. 1, 2, 3, family.
Hello, football family. Welcome in to Huddle It Up Films. Got the whole crew back together. Garnett, Sergeant West coming off that knee injury. Fourth surgery. Big deal over there. And, of course, real Jake Vogel back in the house. And if you guys notice, both of my guys got haircuts. I'm still flying a little shaggy over here, fellas. In fact, I didn't even shave. Trying to start a new winning streak over here for the Ravens. How do you feel about your haircuts? How do you feel about my hair?
You're just always a gorgeous man, Jason. So it's no complaints to me, man. Let me slow down.
You gotta keep it as is, man. Mine was getting way too long for my personal liking, so I had to get it chopped.
Hopefully viewership will be way up after these haircuts. I think it's going to make an impact, guys. I really do. We didn't talk about that before the show, but yeah, haircuts way up. So let's talk about this big Ravens game. Every game's huge now. Ravens sitting at 8-4, going to Cleveland, who are 6-6. Ravens beat Cleveland 16-10. Last matchup in Baltimore, wearing those old blacks. And I believe Garnett said that if you're wearing the all blacks, quote, you can't play like wusses. Isn't that what you said, Garnett?
Yeah,
I believe
yeah. It's Black Air Force One energy. You supposed to have a vibe off of when you wear all black. Is you don't mess with a man that's wearing Black Air Force Ones, but yeah.
Or Johnny Cash, for that matter. You don't mess with Johnny Cash. Yeah. So the Men in Black, another two guys you don't want to mess with, Men in Black. So yeah, the All Blacks work this week. We're going with the purple pants. So let's get serious here. Let's talk about the state of the Ravens. Jake, let's start with you here. A lot going on for the Ravens. What jumps to your mind? I just wanted to catch up with you guys after not speaking with both of you for a couple of weeks. How are you feeling about the team right now, Jake?
Man, we have a good record despite all of our injuries. That needs to be said first and foremost, but that doesn't excuse the offensive performance we've had really for the past 4 games. You think about the Bears game, you think about the Dolphins game, the Browns game, and then most recently the Steelers. None of them have been positive in any shape or form on offense. It was a really low bar set against Cleveland a couple weeks ago. And I think the offense was slightly better against the Steelers, but that's not saying much at all. So we are hoping for, some drastic changes, maybe a return to what we saw earlier in the year where there was some explosion on offense. The defense has played pretty well, to be honest, but the injuries are going to take a toll at some point. Marlon Humphrey is unfortunately out for the rest of the year. Such a key player in this defense. So it'll be interesting to see what Chris Westry can do. That's one of Garnett's guys. Anthony Averett has played pretty well this year. He's been up and down in a couple of games, but for the most part, he's held it down. So, man, I'm hoping for an offense that just grows exponentially in these next few weeks, and basically can carry the team because the defense is just going to have to deal with that injury of Marlowe.
So how about yourself, Garnett? I know you got some thoughts on the Ravens and the state of where they are right now. Let's hear it, because I know you're not going to sugarcoat it. So give it to me straight, Garnett. How you feeling?
Yes. So this is where the Debbie Downer, I guess, the negative Nancy West comes out. Yeah, I'm at a point with this team where I don't. The whole 8-4 record is a blessing, but at the same time, how Jacob said, it's one of those ones where it's so disappointing on how we play week in and week out. It's not really. It's everything that we do. We beat ourselves up more than anything, and it comes from the lack of execution. But more importantly, how I look at it is the consistent errors that we make week in and week out on offense is a reflection to me of coaching. Like, it's one of those things where if I ran an incorrect route, let's say 2 times, every week, about 2 weeks in a row, that's on me. But if I'm doing this for 5 or 6 weeks straight. Like, who is it really my fault? Like, it's my fault, but am I really being told what I'm doing wrong? You know what I mean? Like, am I being held accountable? That's why I'm at with this offense. It's a lot of blame that goes around equally how I look at it. But when I look at the coaching staff, it's like at the end of the day, you're the ones who's running the show. So I can get mad at the players, but I'm going to hold you as the head of responsibility. And that's where I'm at with this team. I feel like a lot of things are fixable and I think can be corrected, but the issue is like when. That's
Right.
the biggest thing.
So for me, guys, I want to get you another round on this, starting with Jake. But I want to build off of Garnett's point, and that is on defense. Garnett, I don't have many problems with the coaching. I mean, I can nitpick, but I look at them. It's a lot of our problems early were missed tackles, player stuff. You know what I mean? That the coach really doesn't have any control of. We've seen him blitz, get a little aggressive at times, too aggressive, this and that. But considering what they're working with, I don't have any qualms with I'll give the coaches a pass on defense. I mean, it's kind of rounding into form. On offense is where I have, major problems with not only the way things are run, but, at this point I'm starting to question even the head coach because like you said, it's been a long, long time. And we talked about it and, basically this has been our thing for most of the year. I think from the Chargers game, get the short passing game going. The defenses are backed way up from the first month when we were just bombs away. So what do we hear Roman say today? We hear him say, well, teams are playing us deep. We're going to have to adjust and start taking these short passes. It's like, no kidding. If Jake and Garnett and I can say this from week 4, what are we waiting for? And like Garnett said, why are we waiting to make a change? Why are we so ineffective against heavy blitzes for most of the last month? Why are we not designing short routes, one read and go, one read and dump off routes here to get the offense in a rhythm? Lamar's timing's obviously upset by this line. He's not playing well. It has to do with everything that's going around him. Part of it has to do with him. But as a coach, like, I'm looking for Harbaugh to step up. I said earlier this week, he really needs to get himself with Giro and Lamar in a room, lock the door, take a few hours, figure out what the plan of attack is, and hold them accountable for it. Like, you don't have to be an offensive mind to be a good boss. That's what makes Harbaugh such a great coach, is the communication, the team playing well off the bye, the everybody, the grit, the toughness that Harbaugh brings. I mean, that's real. But at the same time, man, the make it slow to make changes. I mean, I made the joke earlier this week that if Harbaugh was coaching the Orioles, Chris Davis would still be back in cleanup. Like, we're really slow to make those kind of changes. So, Jake, talk about, can you just comment on that and Garnett afterwards?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we've talked a long time about the short passing game in Baltimore and how the running game has been pretty much ineffective all year because of the injuries, and the usage of that short passing game is an extension of the running game. So I'm right with you there, Jason, and I don't really understand how Lamar and Greg Roman are not able to get on the same page and make defenses pay for backing up and playing soft. Because you see it when you watch the film. The receivers are running deep routes, but the defenders are playing soft, and you're basically creating this lack of time for Lamar in the pocket because of the routes you're running against the coverage you're given. And it's pretty much inexcusable at this point. So I expect some changes. I think the offense is going to turn a corner, but it has been a rough 4 games, definitely 3 straight for Lamar, and then 4 total for the offense with Tyler Huntley, in for that Bears game. But I hope to see some major changes in just the usage of the personnel we have, because the receiving core is good and the spreading of the ball is not very good. I love Marlon. I mean, not Marlon, excuse me. I love Marquise Brown, Hollywood. I love Mark Andrews. Those guys are great and they should be getting tons of targets. But Rashad Bateman is a first-round pick and he's a really good player that's moving the chains for you. And if you target him one time in a game against the Steelers defense that has a lack of corners. It's very alarming, regardless of what you say about the situation in the game, the clock management, whatever you want to say for an excuse. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. So let's hope that this game against Cleveland is just a complete 180 from what we saw 2 weeks ago when Lamar threw 4 interceptions.
Garnett, how about yourself, sir? I think I know where you're going with this.
If I see Patrick Carr run 40-yard routes against a defense, I'm going to freaking blow up. Like, there's no way in hell, there's no reason why he should be running 40 yards. There's no reason why we should see Eric Tomlinson and Patrick Carr really outsnap really the healthiest thing on our team, which is the receiving core, which is crazy. Like, literally, that's the healthiest stable we got. And it just blows my mind, man. Like, I get it that we're trying to, like, play a certain way and catch defenses off guard, but what we've been doing we've been doing this for a while now, like literally having the
Yes.
same personnel over and over on the field running these routes. Like, nobody is respecting Eric Tomlinson running routes. Nobody respecting Patrick Carr. Like, the checkdowns there with Patrick Carr sometimes, and I like it, cool, but we need to take those when they're available. But most of the time, like, why are we doing this to ourselves? And then we're saying that, and then this is where the quarterback gets most of the blame because of those situations where we're not setting him up for success. And that's my biggest problem as a whole. It's like there's no identity. Like, we've been asking for an identity ever since week 4. There's not have been that's why I've been trying to tell people is that there's not have been 2 games back to back where you looked at like, damn, we look so complete on both sides of the ball.
And we realized early, Garnett, that the running game wasn't 2019, 2020. And this was our solution. Like, we're running these short routes. Even they seem slow to develop, where you have 2 guys in the same area. And I'm the first one to admit, look, I'm not an offensive coordinator. The most I've ever coached is kids. A lot of people think I've coached, but I'm really more of a scouting person instead of scheming and this and that. But I mean, even, when it gets to the point, and I don't know what's happening in the building, which is another thing. So I always yield to the coaches. I'm really slow to criticize. I give up my ideas or what I'd like to see. But, I've gotten to a point where I'm really frustrated because, I mean, it doesn't take a lot brain surgery to have Rashad Bateman lined up by himself on the left side and to run a quick slant and to nail that 3 or 4 times a game, maybe on first down, and to make them adjust to it or just keep exploiting it. Because, I mean, it's hard to defend one-on-one Rashad Bateman. So, yeah, guys, I guess we can move off. Any quick final thoughts on this, Jake? We'll start with you. I don't want to go on another diatribe, but any kind of quick final thoughts on the state of the Ravens here?
It's time for them to wake up, period. The defense has been doing their job, and people may still criticize them for, the fourth quarter against the Steelers, but I don't, because the offense is not doing their job, and that's putting the defense out on the field too much in the second half of these games and putting them in tough situations, honestly. I feel like they really played well, minus a few plays here and there, and it is on the offense to make things easier for the defense and to really, make this a complete game for the Ravens, because they should have beat Pittsburgh, period. The domination of time of possession in the first half was ridiculous, and in no way did the score fully show how much the Ravens dominated that first half. I mean,
yeah, it was 7-3. It was 7-3, and sorry, Jake.
No, you're good. You have to put up points if you're gonna win that time of possession battle. It does you no good, really, to just be up 7-3 at the end of the first half when you clearly held the ball much longer than the other team. Because just in one drive in a 2-minute series, they can tie it up or surpass you in the score, which is just ridiculous.
Garnett, quick final thoughts for you on this?
Excuse my language, get your shit together. If not, it's gonna be a rough ending, and maybe some people might lose their jobs. Like, no sugarcoating it. That's all I can say.
Very well said. Okay. Well, let's move on to when the Ravens have the ball. We're going to do the Ravens having the ball this week, Jake. So Garnett, you missed it. I kind of lost my mind, had to edit the video because I messed it up last week. But Ravens have the ball, offensive line of the Ravens. Obviously, the big injury to Pat McCary, a crushing blow to a line that hasn't performed well. And then, of course, you got Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney coming to town. One injury note for the Browns, Malik Jackson, defensive tackle, is out for them, so they'll be reaching on the depth chart of defensive tackle. But yeah, Garnett, we'll start with you on this one. Lamar did quite an escape act for his 4 interception game, and as bad as his game was, his escape act with Garrett and Clowney last week and getting that touchdown, or 2 weeks ago, getting that touchdown and making plays with his legs. I mean, it was miraculous. It's almost like you can't count on that again. How do the Ravens go about that? I mean, we want to see the how do you feel about the matchup? Can the Ravens do any better, or is Lamar going to be able to do that again?
So I think Lamar can do anything, but the fact that do I want him to do that again with that kind of throw? No, but at the same time, do I want us to don't put him in a situation like that? But I think we could be very successful against them, especially with the injury. Well, not even with the injury, to be honest with you, but with with Anthony Walker being out, they're going to have to replace him with either with Elijah Lee or Jacob Phillips, the kid out of LSU, and he's literally just getting back himself. To be back injury with the Giant that happened in I think preseason. So that right there, that just shows our opportunity to take a chance and go against him if he's starting, whoever's going to be playing that middle linebacker position. And then on top of that, I think we could do a better job of exposing, the corner play, I believe, or getting the ball out quick, like we just discussed for the past 7 to 8 minutes, before this, where we got on this topic. But just taking advantage of what we have, their defense is very stout. They're strong. We find ways this is where I say this is where I want to see. Find ways where we can protect not only Lamar but protect Phillips. And what I mean by that is find ways to get the ball out quick. It's crazy that we watch every other team do it to us, but why we can't do it for ourselves. So that's my biggest thing. I feel like if we can find ways to get the ball quick, don't let people get exposed very often. I think this could be an easy win, but nothing's never easy in Baltimore. I'm sorry. So, yeah.
So Jake, with the line specifically, though, just sticking on the line, I mean, I expect that there's going to be a lot of Pat Ricard in this game. As usual, it's tough to get your weapons on the field when you have breakdowns, especially at right tackle now with Phillips expected to play. How do you feel that we're going to hold up against this line of the Cleveland Browns and the great pass rusher that Myles Garrett is?
It's going to be a tough battle for the line. Specifically, we'll get into the other part of the offense later. But just Tyree Phillips, he has not been great. I don't fully blame him. He's been moved around a ton. It's kind of been like a Kamale Correa, Tyus Bowser situation, but just on the offensive side of the ball, where he's asked to do so many different jobs. And he hasn't really been able to focus in on one. And I know most people in the Ravens community, probably anywhere at this point, would say he is better suited on the interior of the offensive line. And you could even say that based on his poor performance on the outside as a tackle. I mean, I don't know it can get much worse than that. So, sliding him in at guard at some point in his career looks like it'll be a better move for him. So I am very worried about that matchup. Myles Garrett, he's an elite pass rusher, and then Jadeveon Clowney as well. They're going to be able to have their way with Tyree Phillips, and I hope, just like Garnett is saying, that we can give him some help, get that quick game, the quick passing game going, and maybe run it a little bit to that side so he can move downhill instead of in pass protection where he looks really rough.
So let's get to the run game for the Ravens. The Ravens are at 4.6 yards per carry. That is still 6th in the NFL. The Browns' run defense only allowing 4.0 yards per carry. That's 4th in the NFL. The Browns really, when it comes to yards per attempt, are pretty up there in a lot of categories. So despite the team being 6-6, despite Mayfield being hurt, despite this and that, their run defense, here it is, 4th in the league, only allowing 4 yards a carry even. Devontae Freeman has emerged as the lead back. He's looked very good. It seems like he's getting better as the season's going on. His jump cuts look crisp, looks good out of the backfield. Latavius Murray, different story. He looked good on a couple of dump-off passes, but he only got a couple of carries last week. It seems like he's getting phased out. And as a runner, it doesn't look like he has much left, taking handoffs out of the backfield. Nate McCrary got active last week. I believe he only had 1 carry. So, Jake, or 2 carries. Thanks, Jake. So, Jake, take it away on this Ravens running game versus the Browns run defense. Garnett mentioned Anthony Walker being out, which could be a big blow for them. Can we run it enough to just keep ahead of schedule? Maybe not dominate, but can we run it enough to be effective?
Yeah, I think we can. Freeman he's been that guy in Baltimore. Maybe it hasn't been pretty as far as when you look at the numbers, but you see something different on tape. I truly believe that. You're watching the game live, you rewatch it. Freeman looks like he's gained some confidence, and he's kind of bringing back some of that juice he had with Atlanta back in the day. So I am positive in the outlook of that particular running back and what the running game can do. But the Browns defense is really solid. You saw what they did against the Ravens a couple weeks ago. As far as the ground game goes, Lamar is still the engine that moves that thing. Freeman is the second fiddle for sure. And then after that, it's kind of like Duvernay or bust. So I think they're going to be able to move the ball a little bit on the ground, but most of the offensive yardage and points that come from the Ravens offense are going to be through the air.
Okay, so Garnett, I'll put it to you like this. Obviously, the Browns have a fierce pass rush. Lamar threw 4 interceptions last time against them. Can we run the ball enough and use that as a way to take pressure off of things, or is this Browns attack still, is it still stout enough to shut down the running game and force us to throw?
I think that the running game can be very effective if and I'm not trying to take digs or shots at Roman, but if the vault can open up a little bit more, I think it can be very successful. From what I've seen, it always blows my mind that you see the first 15 looks so beautiful. The first 15 play script, like the fake end around to
Right.
Duvernay, and it was a beautiful run. And it's like, damn, do you have any more? But no, it was just that one play. Then we went right back to just, being us. But it's one of the things where I feel like if we can, go in more into the vault and be more creative and, have these guys thinking and putting them out of position, I think the run game can be very successful without Lamar being Lamar and, ad-libbing and improvising a lot of plays. I think we can be very successful on the run.
Yeah, it would be nice for this game. It sure would, and for the rest of the season, because Freeman does look like he has a rhythm, and he's not getting much help from the offensive line. I mean, we have 300-pound linemen that aren't moving people. So that's my big thing with like where I want to see Ben Cleveland inserted in the lineup. I don't care about a mistake or two. Powers is making a mistake or 2 or 3 or 4 a game. So you might as well put Cleveland in there and let him at least move some bodies around. I'm not quite sure what's going on with Ben Cleveland, whether it's health, whether it's mental, whether it's just Harbaugh being Harbaugh and making him pay his dues. Who knows? But yeah, hopefully with this running game, we can at least hold the attack. Stay away from Jadeveon Clowney. He's a monster against the run. I can only imagine what it's going to look like with him and Phillips on that side. Maybe run at Myles Garrett, tire the man out, send Ricard his way. And really try to pound the rock. So as we head into the passing game of the Ravens, and this is another area that slowly declined. Remember, guys, when we were up around 8.0 yards per attempt earlier in this year, we were bombs away. Well, that has dropped to 7.3 yards per attempt, which is 14th in the league. Cleveland Browns pass D, pretty good, better than the Ravens. They're at 7.0 yards per attempt allowed. That is 11th in the league. The Browns, of course, have Denzel Ward, very good cornerback. They have Greg Newsome, who's acclimated himself to the league very well. They have Troy Hill. Their safeties, nothing special there. I mean, they, with Harrison, that's an area where Andrews obviously has eaten versus the Browns. Hollywood Brown had a number of targets, I believe double-digit targets last meeting against the Browns, but it was all short stuff. So again, as we look at this matchup, Garnett, we're starting with you. What do you see? Can Andrews eat again? Just general thoughts, and I'll let Jake build off of what you have to say.
I think it's going to be their responsibility in Cleveland to find a ways to shut down Andrews, and yeah, I think that's gonna be the first priority with them. As he's seen for a couple, just for weeks after weeks, it's been literally the Andrews short on this offense and a sprinkle of Hollywood or whoever else wants to fit in. And I, with this passing game, man, like we discussed earlier in the show, like get other people involved, put people, like you said, put Bateman in a one-on-one scenario. Like we have this thing called an X receiver, and I just want to see that get used a couple of times. I think that would help out a lot. But if that can happen, it's just a lot of ifs, and I hate saying that, but if that can happen, that would be tremendous for Lamar in this offense. Like it would help out a lot. It would help out the defense that we were talking about. It's crazy how we dominate the time of possession, but the scoreboard never looks like it. It's just mind boggling.
So Jake, we have a lot of different skill sets in this receiver group. Hollywood's skill set speaks for itself. And then you have Duvernay, a run after catch guy. Whenever he gets the ball, something good happens. You have guys like Prochet and Bateman who can win quickly. Hollywood can win anywhere in the field. Andrews can win anywhere in the field, and it, quite frankly, is a matchup nightmare for the Browns. So how do you spread the ball out here? What do you look to exploit? Quite frankly, do you expect any changes in the passing game?
So I'd love to see changes in the passing game. I'm not willing to say for sure that it'll happen right away, simply because there's very slow movement from Greg Roman in this Ravens offense. So I don't know how big of a change it'll be, but obviously Mark Andrews is kind of that number one guy on the team this year. Hollywood has at times been dominant. Rashad Bateman can be a consistent chain mover, and he can be a lot more than that. The Ravens just aren't using him at his full capacity. So I hope to see some more of that. And then Devin Duvernay is a weapon. We've mentioned it before. He can be used in similar ways to Deebo Samuel, the wide receiver in San Francisco. So there's so many weapons, and I agree with Garnett. If you can use those guys when the Browns are focusing in on Mark Andrews, you're going to open things up for the offense, not only in this game, but down the road as we have these other tough matchups just by, getting those other guys involved and making defenses fear what the Ravens can do on offense with all of their weapons instead of just a couple of guys. So I'm right with you. I think getting Bateman, getting Duvernay involved, obviously Hollywood and Andrews, you're going to do so much for this offense. And the other guy I want to mention, because we already talked about him, Devontae Freeman is going to have some major opportunities in the receiving game, just on the checkdowns, if they are focusing a ton of attention on Mark Andrews, because those linebackers, the safeties are all going to be flowing towards Andrews, and who's going to be open on a little leak, on a little swing pass, a screen? It's going to be Devontae Freeman, and Lamar has thrown the ball well to him, and he has soft hands. So, I'd like to see that too, because the more you can do that and complete those passes and get first downs, that's going to change what the defense has to do against the Ravens. And it, once again, opens things up for the entire group.
Yeah, slowly the backs have been more incorporated into the pass game, which has been good. I remember the Tyler Huntley against Chicago game. It was 8 they caught 8 balls on 8 targets. We've seen a little bit more of that, and that definitely has helped on some of these long drives that we're seeing. Even Ricard, getting the pass out of the flat. My final thoughts on this, it has to do with the player on the Browns, and that's Jeremiah Koromo, excuse me. This guy is a real player. It seemed like he was drafted specifically for Lamar and the Ravens, or it was just coincidental because he is quite a weapon on defense. It looked like he was keyed on Lamar last game pretty heavily. But as Jake said, if you're keyed on Lamar, then that might open things up as far as, he can only be one place for the backs out of the backfield or for Andrews. So quite a player to look for. That's a guy, obviously Garrett commands a lot of attention. Clowney versus Phillips is a mismatch. But the other thing that I'm worried about in this game on the Browns defense is JOK, because Koromo is just a heck of a player, looks very comfortable for a rookie, and he's going to be a headache for the Ravens these next 4+ years. So good player that the Browns got, slipped in the draft, and they took advantage of it. So kudos to them. So as we switch to the other side of the ball, the Browns have the ball. On the offensive line, a good offensive line for Cleveland. Best in the NFL, people say that. It's definitely up there, but they do have a hole at right tackle. Jack Conklin was knocked out for the year. They put Blake Hance back in there. They're obviously not happy with him. So we're to the point where we don't know who's going to play right tackle for the Browns, but whoever it is, they are not confident in him. This unit was bullied, quite frankly, by the Ravens. It was showed in the running game. You have Adafio Way playing really well. You have Tyus Bowser playing out of his mind. You have Justin Houston doing his thing. Brandon Williams, 11 total tackles last week. Jelly looks fresher. Calais Campbell missed the last game. He's back. So as good as the offensive line for the Browns are, Garnett, I feel like that the front of the Ravens, they handled them last time, and I feel like they should at least hold up really well against them this time. What are you thoughts? Are you as confident as me, or?
Yeah, I'm pretty darn confident. Just now, I was very curious because I wish I would have did a little bit more homework on it, but they got a left guard. They got a guard, Blake Hance out of Northwestern, for just 1 year in the league playing that right tackle position. Man, if that, I know Houston and always should be licking their chops, man. I hope, if they're giving them just a legit opportunity just to go after him, man. A couple stunts here or there, I think that would do a couple wonders. But I'm very confident. I think we can, stout the line again. But I just I don't think I won't put it like this. Chubb, I think Chubb is gonna run angry. Pissed. We did a good job on him, and I think that he's gonna get maybe one big play, but other than that, I think for the majority of the game, I think we're gonna do a really damn good job. But I hate, like, we're on defense, but I got to talk about the offense. But the defense has to stay fresh. If we stay fresh, we can lock them up. That's how confident I feel with the secondary. With the interior defense in the trenches.
Jake, similar thoughts? And then the other thing I wanted to ask you on this, Jake, is something specific. The Browns have injuries on offense to a position that they rely very heavily on, and that's tight end. The Browns run a lot of 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends even. They move the tight ends around. They're not predictable on where these tight ends are going to be. Njoku has been a Ravens killer. He's done best against the Ravens. His blocking even looks good against the Ravens. Harrison Bryant, their high round draft pick, I believe he was a mid-rounder last year. He's definitely going to be out of this game. Njoku has COVID, so it's going to be very questionable as to he gets back. So do you see the Browns, plugging in their backup tight ends to help this line? Or do you think, and run the same scheme basically? Or could you see them switching it up? And if they switch it up, obviously they're going to leave that right tackle exposed.
Yeah, that's a good question for sure. Njoku has been really good, like you mentioned, specifically against the Ravens, because his career as a first-round pick has not been stellar by any means. I'm not sure that he's going to be able to stick around with Cleveland unless he takes a mediocre deal. So that'll be something interesting to watch. The Ravens, however, lost Marlon Humphrey. So going into this game, I am expecting the Browns to maybe spread the ball around a little bit. Donovan Peoples-Jones, maybe Anthony Schwartz if he's getting back. I need to check on that. Let's see.
Yeah,
If he's
Schwartz got knocked out cold, man. He was like one of the nastiest hits. He's still not practicing. But
concussion, yeah. So
but
if
yeah,
he's
on the go ahead, Jacob. Sorry.
Yeah, if he's not practicing tomorrow or cleared, then it's likely he's not back. But that matchup is going to be tough, especially with the Browns relying so much on the tight ends and the offense. It's a Gary Kubiak type offense. We had it in 2014 with the Ravens. Really, really solid scheme. But with those guys missing, it's going to be tough for the Browns to do what they want to do, and that's run the ball, use play action, hit us with some deep shots, and just kind of play physical AFC North football. So I am confident, just like Garnett, just like you, that the Ravens' defensive line and front seven can hold up against this Cleveland offense. And I am most worried about the secondary just because of the potential inexperience in the ways that the Browns could exploit some of that.
Excellent. And my final thoughts on the Ravens defensive front versus this Browns line is just the edge play. I mentioned a lot of players playing well on that Ravens front, but with the QBX Stefanski scheme, they've gone away from it still, but you're still going to see Baker Mayfield fake the handoff and boot right a bunch of times a game. And that doesn't work as well against the Ravens because of the sheer talent that they have on the edge when it comes to physical talent of Adafio Way and Tyus Bowser. They play it well. They're right in Mayfield's face. You could see them taking away passing lanes when they couldn't get in Mayfield's face. It was just a masterful job by those guys on the edge last time. So, props to the Bowser, Oway, even Houston in those situations, staying disciplined against this team. Patrick Queen even on that weak side, going away from the run. Really, really good. So let's get into the Browns running game, because this was the shocker last time. The Browns running offense, 5.1 yards a carry. That leads the NFL. Number one. The Ravens run defense, though, fourth in the NFL at 4.0 yards per carry, same as the Browns. So this is strength versus strength. Last time, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt combined 15 carries for a total of 36 yards. So you held the number one rushing offense, just took that completely out of the game. I think that's unlikely to happen again this time, Garnett. But, on the other side, so is Lamar throwing 4 interceptions. So it kind of balances out a little bit. But, can the Ravens hold their own? Not maybe shut them down for 36 yards, but can the Ravens hold this Browns running attack down a bit again?
Yeah, I think so. I think you remember the philosophy that I said last time when we discussed about this game, that you blitz them early and often, and then you lay off on the back end on the third and fourth downs. I think if we do that approach again, I think we'll be very successful. But like I said, there gonna be maybe one or two plays where they could, Nick Chubb is gonna be Nick Chubb maybe, or Hunt, he might make something happen coming out the backfield. But I think that maybe we'll hold, instead of like, we'll hold them maybe about 80 yards, or maybe they might get 100. I'm not going to put it past them, but I think we'll do a good enough job defensively where like that 100 is going to be a lousy 100 instead of oh my God, we can't stop the run 100, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that would be a win, Garnett, because they're going to run it 30 times, probably if they're having success. So if you hold them to, even 25 carries for 100 for the number one rushing attack, who's averaging way more than that, that would be a win. So, Jake, how do you see this Browns running game?
Yeah, my number is kind of 100 this week. I think they can do better, but I'm expecting around 100 yards simply because I think they're going to get a big play here or there. And if we look back to the most recent game with Cleveland just a couple weeks ago, Kareem Hunt was the more effective running back. for Cleveland. Oddly enough, Nick Chubb is a great player, Georgia alum. One of my dudes, and I just hate seeing him in that Cleveland offense. But Hunt was more explosive for that specific week, and maybe it's because of injuries and how fresh those guys were. But I think either one of them or both of them could have a big run in this one, but hopefully not too big. And I think the Ravens' defensive line is their strength right now, simply because the secondary has had more injuries. Deshaun Elliott's out, Marlon Humphrey's out, Marcus Peters has been out all year. So if they're going to find success, I don't expect it as much in the running game. It should be more in the passing game, but Baker Mayfield is banged up. Their offensive line is banged up. Maybe the Ravens can play a similar defensive game to what they already did. And I seriously believe the sky or the bar is set so low for this Ravens offense against Cleveland from what they did last time that they can only succeed. 4 interceptions is not going to happen again. The probability of it happening again is astronomically low. So
Right.
I think there's going to be a bounce back in that way, and I think Cleveland can improve on offense like we're talking about in the run game, but not to the same level that Lamar Jackson can improve in not throwing 4 interceptions.
Right. So my final thoughts on the Browns run game is this. Another guy that really showed up, or two I can speak of, are Justin Madubuike and Patrick Queen. Madubuike was just too quick, too strong. He was in the backfield. Patrick Queen, like you said, Garnett, these run blitzes on early downs. Patrick Queen just shooting the gap, meeting people in the backfield, creating a lot of problems for this zone type scheme. And of course, you have Bynes and even Christian Welch popping in here as short tacklers. I feel pretty confident that the Ravens can do a good job, that they're going to do a much better job than most teams against the Browns, but they're going to need it. We're going to need that. If the Browns can run the ball enough to do their thing to open up the pass game, it could be a really tough day for the Ravens, because despite the Browns' troubles, the Ravens, of course, have their own troubles in the passing game. And then, of course, we talked extensively on offense. So moving to this passing game of the Browns against the Ravens defense, the Browns passing offense is all the way up at 10th, if you believe it, in the league at 7.5 yards per attempt. That's better than the Ravens passing game. And of course, the Ravens pass D still near the bottom of the league, 8.0 yards per attempt allowed. That is 30th. The Ravens, of course, now with the devastating loss of Marlon Humphrey for the year, Chris Westry hopefully is getting healthier. Tavon Young hopefully is getting healthier. We saw him limited. Wing said he was sick as a dog last week. That's why we didn't see much Tavon. Anthony Averett needs to continue to step up. Brandon Stevens might have to play some corner with Geno Stone playing safety. So I expect a lot of technically 3 safety looks, even though Brandon will be playing corner, to have basically Chuck, Brandon, and Geno on the field at the same time. But this is, Baker Mayfield obviously is injured. He's probably feeling a little bit better after having 2 weeks off. How do you see this stacking up? Jake, I think we're going to start with you on this one. The Browns passing attack with obviously missing, as you said, Schwartz and possibly Njoku. How do you see them matching up with the Ravens pass D?
I think they can make improvements from the pass game since it was so bad for them. They should be able to incorporate Donovan Peoples-Jones much better than they did. Jarvis Landry is always a weapon against the Ravens in an odd way. Most of his career, he's averaging less than 10 yards per catch and severely less than that when you're talking about per target basis.
But he had 111 yards against us last time, Jake.
Yeah, which is crazy high. He does not do that every week, but he's a good player against Baltimore, so he will certainly be active. I expect their tight end Austin Hooper to have a decent game, but ultimately this comes down to the Ravens defense playing a solid game. it's going to be tough for them to play as well as they did a couple weeks ago with the injury to Humphrey. But hold them to 20, hold them to 21. I think that's reasonable. And then the Ravens offense just has to be so much better than they were. And I think that's very possible. So, yeah, I think it's on the young guys. It's on Westry. It's on Stevens to really step up. It's on Tavon Young to get back from his illness. And Anthony Averett has to show up and show out as a corner. And he's going to get paid either by the Ravens for, a certain amount of money, or probably a lot more than that if he finishes out the season strong. He'll be with a different team.
So Garnett, this team relies on its tight ends. They haven't gotten a lot of production out to Donovan Peoples-Jones. Hollywood Higgins has been in and out of the lineup, seemingly benched. I believe he was inactive. And then you have Jarvis Landry. They rely on their tight ends a lot. They're not going to have their tight ends. They don't have their speed threat. So I'm going to paint it to you like this, Garnett. Say the Ravens, run defense. They're kind of stuffing the run. Maybe they only have a 50 to 80 yard day, 100-yard day. Can this Browns passing offense pick up the slack against a bad Ravens group that's played poorly? But you look on the other side, the Browns don't have a lot of weapons.
I think this is what Jake said, man. I'm going to piggyback off of this. This is a great opportunity for the young talent in the secondary. Like, this is a payday, or to be honest with you, for a lot of these guys. For the Chris Westry, that's that came off as a free agent. For, like he said, at Avery, this is a contract year for him. You can go. He's probably, we know he's going to probably get paid big time, nice amount of money somewhere else. But this is how you increase your value. There's this thing that we don't, that this defense doesn't get, is called interceptions. I think if, the turnover differential, I don't know the numbers. I know, I wish I had the analytics. I think I heard it's like really booty right now.
It was -8 the last time I looked, but I believe it's worse now. So
yeah. So, and with that being said, it wouldn't hurt if we don't drop one of those, or something of that nature. I feel very confident in the secondary because of the fact that they just don't. I'm not, no disrespect to Cleveland receivers other than Juice Landry. He has a knee injury. There's nothing that I fear about their receivers whatsoever. Even with if Njoku comes back, I'll be a little bit scared because he's a vertical tight end that they use. But other than that,
right.
man, there's this is a day for me. If I was a Chris Westry or Aver, this is my opportunity to shine.
That's right.
How I look at it. Yep.
Right. We're going to face much more talented receiving groups coming up down the stretch. This is the one team that they're hurting at wide receiver. And I mean, with their tight end situation looking sketchy, this is, like you say, Garnett, you pump me up there. If I'm Chris Westry, if I'm Anthony Averett, I'm looking for that pick. I'm looking for a big day. I'm looking to be targeted 10 times. Bring it on, because I can handle this guy in front of me. So I got a lot of Garnett's. I'm going to skip Garnett on this one. I got his philosophy already on the defense. Jake, I'm going to go to you for your plan of attack on Wink. You agree with Garnett here with the early down blitzes and kind of just laying back after that? Because you want to pressure Mayfield. We look like we had a pretty damn good plan of attack against Baker Mayfield last time. So I'm guessing the same thing.
Yeah, pretty similar. The only thing I would kind of counter is not sending too many guys. Garnett's been on that train all year, especially with the secondary being a little bit limited. I don't want to send too many players in case Cleveland really understands what's going on, because if they do, then you catch somebody off guard. There have been some issues in communication in coverage and just lapses back there. So I don't want to see just this gaping hole and a guy wide open in an easy touchdown. So I'd rather be closer to a 4-man rush pretty much the whole game, but with the occasional run blitz when you really know it's a run. I'm good with that. Stuff the run, but also be cautious, because this offense should be and I think still is predicated on the play action. So and the
Right.
running game, regardless of how strong their running game is on the particular Sunday.
Thank you, Jake. That's well said. And yeah, if they still go to this 3 tight end set, I'm not that's when I'm blitzing. That's when I'm sending guys up the gap, because you got one wide receiver. Okay, we can handle him. Maybe put a safety over top. Okay, we got a strong safety on these tight ends that are coming out. Maybe Bowser's looking for somebody. Then you just let Queen just shoot up the gap and run blitz, and he's going to cause them a lot of problems. So Garnett, starting with you on this one. Here we are, buddy. Final thoughts on this game. Wrap it up. Could be offense, could be defense, could be coaching, could be Lamar, could be this or that. The wise words of Sergeant West incoming, fellas. Brace yourselves. What you got for me, G?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls with children of all ages, it really just, to be honest with you, proper preparation prevents poor performance. 5 P's, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I can live by with this team, man. And if we can live by that consistently, like just do that, do the basics right, communicate, do your job, run the right route, have the right spacing, but make sure the receivers are put in the best position so they don't have to worry about the spacing. I think life will be dandy. So just play fulls. I want to see. Is it too much to ask for a full 60 minutes of football? That's all I ask for. Just a full 60 minutes. Like, it's crazy. I don't want to see the first 15 plays look so beautiful, and then we go. I'm sorry, excuse me. We go right back to looking like an ass. It's. I don't get it. And once we fix that, I think it'll be a beautiful ride to the very end. I let the wheel. Jesus take the wheel, as they say.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, any religious advice for us over there, Jake? Or are you going to stay away from that?
Oh man, I am in a similar mold to Garnett, hoping that the Ravens can play a full 60 minutes. I can't expect it at this point since we haven't really seen it all year, but I am hoping and praying that they do play their best football, that everybody stays safe. But truly, this is one of those games that Greg Roman needs to open that vault. I mean, I don't care if you think your team's going to make the playoffs and you want to save that vault for later. Guess what? You can come up with some more plays later. Open that thing up, get into it, and show the Browns something that they haven't seen, or really get creative, because you need to win these games. You need 3 more wins, in my opinion, to make the playoffs. To secure your spot for sure. Maybe 2 gets you there, but 3, I think for sure gets you in the playoffs. And that's what the Ravens need. They just need the shot. They need to get to the dance. And this is one of those few games left on the schedule that I truly see as an opportunity for Baltimore to get a W in the win column, and lock some things up for the AFC North or a wild card spot.
Well, thank you, guys. My final thoughts on this is, I just want to see. I want my Lamar Jackson back. I want my Lamar back. I don't care how it's done. I don't care if we run the ball 50 times. Like, I just want to see Lamar comfortable. I don't want to see him have to do everything. I want to see him with some help. You get Lamar some help and you get him back in his rhythm, he's going to dominate. So just, if I can see the old Lamar, even if it's not a 60 minutes, even if it's the second half, we get Lamar, or, the prime Lamar, that would just make my day, because I haven't seen that guy around lately, and we need him. Go ahead, Garnett.
Can we please score a touchdown in the first quarter?
Yeah, that's Garnett's thing. First drive, first quarter.
We're
so close. We're getting closer, Garnett.
That's all I got to say.
We're settling for field goals. We're throwing interceptions in the red zone. That interception by Lamar last week was just painful. What a bad decision. That's what I say. Like, my Lamar doesn't do that. You know what I mean? My Lamar is comfortable enough in himself where he knows he can take that 3 points, but he's going to end up scoring 40 anyway. So I don't need to be desperate and throw it in the end zone. Like, that's what I want to see. So, football family, thank you so much. Garnett, do you have the vocal pipes? I don't know. You're probably on good drugs over there with your knee medicine. Do we have an Amazing Grace? Do we have, any Snoop Dogg, any old school stuff? Anything new? Do you know Justin Bieber, Garnett? Can you sing us something?
I don't know no Justin Bieber, but I'm trying to think of a song that will fit us right now because I got a feeling that Sunday is gonna be a good day. I don't know because I forgot it's not a night game, so it's a
That's
day.
great, dude. No, good day. Good day
All right.
turns into a good night.
You do a little nappy roots.
Yeah.
Nappy roots. Good day.
Yeah, that'll
Okay.
work.
All right. Yeah, I'm going with it. I know that song, but that's the only line, so I know. So we're gonna leave it there, guys. It was great having you back. Hopefully, we should be back next week, hopefully in full force, unless one of these fools cancels on me. We will be back. Thank you guys so much. Say goodbye to the people now.
Peace.
See you guys.